All right, I want to call the March 28th, 2018 meeting of the Lake Quinsigamond Commission to order. Thank you all for coming. I'm going to start out with our newest member from Grafton, Bill Nelson. Bill, can you please go to the front of the room and tell us? No, I won't do that. I guess a little bit about yourself.
Okay, I've been a Grafton resident for 39 years, own a house there, I raised our kids and family there. They went to school there. My connection with Lake Quinsigamond is I've been a rower my whole life, and when I retired and stopped driving into Boston to row to work and also row on the Charles River, maybe the other way around, it was just too far. 7 years ago, I joined the Lake Quinsigamond Rowing Club, and I've been rowing there basically the 6 months of the warm part of the year. Every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, I row down one side of the lake and back the other side. Got quite familiar with the lake, and it's good qualities, it's bad qualities, pollution problems, all the water hazards in particular, and many other canoers, fishermen, and beside the rowers. I've also volunteered at the regattas for the last 7 years and got to know a lot of the college coaches and other Worcester and Shrewsbury participants at the regattas. That's my connection to the lake. In terms of the environment, my family going back has had a cottage and a lake in Plymouth, Mass. And my brother and I grew up down there, and his kids and my kids grew up down there. We learned all about the problems with lakes and waters, and we've been involved somewhat with helping the environment down there. It had such an effect on our family that my oldest son ended up getting a PhD in entomology and has worked at the National Heritage and Endangered Species Program for Mass Fish and Wildlife for the last 15 years. And my brother's oldest daughter has worked in environmental education for DCR for the last over 10 years. And was involved with saving the Plymouth red-bellied turtle from the beginning when she was in high school for the last 15 or so years. In terms of experience with meetings, I've belonged to a number of different professional societies my whole life: the American Physical Society, American Optical Society, Institute of Electronic and Electrical Engineers. And I have been on numerous conference programs, worldwide, U.S., Pacific Rim, and Europe. Was the elected chair numerous times to the IEEE Boston section of the Photonics Society, with 1,000 members roughly, several times. Also the IEEE Communications Society chair for once, and an elected member of the IEEE Boston Section Executive Committee years ago with about 20 or 30,000 members. So I've had some experience dealing with elected bodies and committees and boards. So that is the brief. Oh, other than I'm retired from Verizon, been retired for a number of years. Before that I worked for Raytheon in Boston and GT Research Labs. And before that I was a professor of physics at Lehigh University in Pennsylvania, and then at the Rochester Institute of Technology in upstate New York. So that's a quick summary.
You think Grafton could have got a better person? Boy. But take what we can get.
I'm retired.
That's awesome. It's an impressive resume. I'll say that.
I thought that's why we accepted him.
Yes, it is. I'm only going after the best, Roger. Okay, so I want to approve. Did everyone get a chance to read the minutes of last month's meeting?
It was very interesting. I make a motion that we accept it.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? All right. Okay, and review and approval of bills and expenses. Do we have?
There actually isn't any this
Nothing?
month.
Spend by the
Nothing came in, nothing came out.
All right. Well, we got to change that.
I guess our stereo
Till next
program's
month.
working.
That doesn't seem right. I'm going to go into commissioners' reports. I'll start out, I guess, somewhere here. I have my, all right. So, just a brief brief 2 or 3 pages of stuff. We went before the Grafton Board of Selectmen at their March 6th meeting. Bill was actually there. Scott was downstairs, cheering us on.
Same building.
Watching us on TV. The meeting actually went pretty good. It was you know, no one, you know, handed me a check at the meeting, but they did have a little bit more openness to funding. You know, they're still concerned that we are, you know, they have a small portion of the lake, and how come they're, you know, getting an equal charge out of there, and you know, especially concerns Worcester and Shrewsbury, where, you know, they have some concept that Shrewsbury especially is making money on the lake somehow, which isn't really the case. You know, we try to steer them in the direction that, you know, everyone has a little bit different value proposition with the lake, you know, of the 3 communities with the lake. And you know, although Grafton does not have a big shorefront in terms of footage or mileage, they have a pretty big one. I mean, you know, they go down the Quinsigamond River to Hovey Pond. They have shoreline on probably 2/3 of Flint Pond on the south side of it. But significantly, you know, they have one of the highest concentrations of the invasive weeds in Grafton, in the Grafton part of the water. So that's one of the reasons that, you know, my justification was that, you know, the stuff we're actually treating, a large part of it's right there in Grafton. So, you know, that's gonna cost a lot of money. Whereas Worcester, who has a much larger, as an example, Worcester has a much larger area of the lake. You know, not a lot of it's covered with weeds. So
That's correct, we take good care of the lake.
that's right. You know, we won't go into why weeds aren't growing over there, but anyway, so, you know, it all comes down to, you know, different equity for everybody. So that's what it was. But we're not going to be on the warrant in the spring, the annual town meeting, but we probably will be on the warrant in the fall. And I think that they're trying to figure out for themselves if the money's going to come out of the operating budget or free cash. So that's, you know, that's kind of was the takeaway there. And they were pretty much divided on whether they should come out of the operating budget or free cash. Free cash is always a funny term for me. Also, I spoke to the head of the regional head of Mass DOT. Sean's going to bring up some other stuff on that, so I'll skip over that one for now. One thing that we did talk about, though, is that there were some cracks in the sidewalk identified on top of the bridge. And although it's not really, you know, the commission's purview of what happens on top of the bridge, I just wanted to kind of update anyone who's interested in that, because I know there was a lot of chatter about it on Facebook. And there was some concern that the bridge was settling, you know, to a drastic degree, that there was talk about it being, I don't know, 1.5 inches or 2 inches lower on one side of the crack than the other. I don't believe that's the case, but what Mass DOT is going to do is they're going to go in there and apply some kind of epoxy treatment. You may know more about this kind of stuff than I do. But basically, they're going to apply epoxy to the cracks so that the cracks can expand and contract to the best of their ability. Sorry, man, I had to put out the kids' table stuff.
Okay.
And they're going to do that. It shouldn't cause any problem or any traffic issues, except I think when they're preparing the surface to do it, there may be equipment on this. They may do a lane closing on top of the bridge, so it shouldn't affect anything underneath, any traffic underneath. And as the weed, we scheduled a teleconference with Natural Heritage for Monday, April 9th, to discuss treatment of the invasives, and we'll talk about that on the treatment plan. That's about all I have. Mr. Pica.
Mr. Chairman, it seems that the lake is back up to level. Activity in the lake is minimal at the time being, but there's some people rowing and a couple of boats out, but it's pretty minimal. My understanding is from some, call it as you want, chatter on the net or whatever, that it seems like the female eagle may be sitting on some eggs. In terms of the cam, that's on the slow track at the moment. There's an expense involved, and so there's no new developments on that at the moment. And one final thing, last commission meeting, I was talking about how seeing some waterfowl that I identified as the common murcinger may give indication of a change of the seasons. Unfortunately, the change was in reverse, and then since we last spoke, I think we had 2 or 3 snowstorms. And actually, one morning about a week ago, I came out and the Half Moon Cove was half frozen again. Although it's a skim coat of ice and was gone by the end of the day, it does seem like this week things are changing around again, but I dare not say too much. But that's it. Otherwise, Mr. Chair, it's nice to see the lake back up to level. A couple of years previously, it seemed to take a while, but as I was kind of hoping and expecting with the spring runoff, lake has basically got back to where it should be. So, anyways, that's it, Mr. Chair.
I believe it actually was up the pool before we got the dam all the way raised this year, just because of the weather, and so that worked out.
The storms, yeah.
Yep, sometimes it goes over that and we flood, and sometimes, it doesn't get that far. Is it Valerie?
Just a couple of things here. Myself and the chief have been in contact with Adam from Mass DOT regarding the speed limit signs, the no towing and no wake signs, the best place to fix those to the bridge. So what the plan is right now is, once everything thaws, we can get the boat out, boat goes in the water, I'm gonna head out there with Adam and decide the best placement for those so people can see them. I think everybody knows where they are now, they're not even visible until you're on top of them. So I'm gonna try and figure out the best place to put those, and possibly discuss putting additional buoys. I think you guys know last year I had one safety buoy north and south of the Route 9 bridge to slow everybody down. I was thinking about putting a buoy in between each span on each side, so maybe 3 on each side, so people, because just the 1 on each side I don't think was enough. We have 6 additional from what we purchased last year, so I don't think it'll hurt to put a couple more out, and we'll figure out the best place to put the signs. We'll get those up before we start patrolling Memorial Day weekend.
Is it feasible to put signage on the buoys, to float the signs?
Well, just the markings that we have on there now that they come with, but I don't know about putting.
Like have, I don't know if there's such a thing as I know that.
Yeah, I know what you're saying, but I don't know if it's possible.
Middlesex had their little no wake thing out there, right? But they kind of fabricated that themselves, I think.
Yeah.
But I'm just wondering if that may be an
I don't want to
alternative.
drill holes into something like that and have them get ruined after we spend all that money on them too.
Right, no one wants to drill, that's the feedback I got from Mass DOT, is that, no one's gonna be drilling a hole in the anything metal on the bridge.
Yeah, so I'm gonna go out there with Adam
All right.
and we'll figure out the best place to put things and make sure they're visible for everybody and try and get that done as soon as possible. That's all I have
Up to me, I'd put no wake and no towing and 20-inch block letters on the top of each arch. It's painted on there. All right, thank you. Is that it?
That's all I have.
Thanks. Sorry, lost my place. Put it on top. All right. Captain Steele.
First, I want to thank Mr. Michael Packer for refraining from declaring the warm weather is here again this time. Second, we don't really have much to report, but Worcester plans to work with Shrewsbury again this coming summer with Lake Patrol, so that we'll have some additional officers out there. I was going to offer a suggestion for the bridge. I haven't been under there myself to see exactly how the spans are working, the iron and steel spans. But in Worcester, sometimes when we have objects that we don't want to drill holes into, we use a type of strapping that they use for signs. That might be something you could look at, so that it doesn't drill the holes, but they're usually stainless steel or aluminum. One of the places you'll always see them is on the aluminum light poles. That we use a strap that goes around, because we don't drill into the poles. So
Okay. It's a great,
It's something
great
to
suggestion.
think of as using a material that doesn't rust or deteriorate in any other way. And like I said, stainless steel or something like that. Might be something they could put the straps on and then attach the bolts to the straps and put the signs up if they didn't want to drill holes. I understand why they don't want to drill into the virgin metal there.
All right, that's a really good thought.
But other than that, that's my report.
Thank you.
If I may ask a question, Roger, and you- and I don't mean
Challenge
to put-
me on it.
No, I don't mean to put you on the spot, but maybe you know a little more info than otherwise I or the community in general might know. But I know at one point, a few months ago, the city of Worcester was talking about wanting to think about having like a substation and an expansion of use of the, I'll call it South Regatta State Park area. Is there any more news about that?
Do you mean over where the police boathouse was?
Yeah,
Yeah,
and the
yeah,
rowing,
yeah.
that's a rowing, that.
Yeah.
I do know we were exploring a joint venture with the environmental police, but I don't know what came of that. I know the major retired,
Okay.
and I think that Worcester was no longer the center of attention for the environmental police once that happened. So beyond that, I do know that the Worcester Fire Department, the Worcester Police Department, and the environmental police were hoping, the rendering was beautiful that we had of the building they were gonna put there. They wanted to have three bays for the boats, and then upstairs was gonna be a educational facility where people could come and take the boat classes, and then also an office up there where people could stop and see the different representatives from the agencies. But at this point in time, I don't know where that is.
Okay, thank you.
Awesome. All right, Mr. Polito.
The only thing I have is, I spoke with an environmental consultant, Mr. Kowalski, who has extensive experience in revitalizing or rehabilitating brooks, central Massachusetts and western Mass. And he asked if any of the fishermen that were here at the last meeting could investigate, and especially around this time of year, April-ish, investigate if they have seen any rainbow smelt spawning at Poor Farm, Cold Spring Brook, O'Hara Brook, Meadow Brook, or West Brook. So this is the time of year that you would normally see them. And he's also investigating the water quality issues associated with each of those brooks. And there may be an issue with the pH levels being too high, and which would affect the rainbow smelt from spawning. So if anybody knows, or anybody have been out there and noticed any of these smelt spawning, if you could get in touch with us or Peter, or email us, it would be helpful with that information.
Great, thank you so much for getting in touch with Mr.
So
Kowalski.
Glenn may, if he's gonna do a little bit more research, he's doing this voluntarily right now, but if something comes of it, he'll come in and speak with us,
All right,
okay?
second.
If that's okay with you.
That'd be awesome. I actually forwarded that email out to the fishermen. I edited it a little bit. I didn't know if Glenn wanted everyone,
Yeah,
get his contact info.
yeah, right, because that'd be,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, and also I reached out to Jacqueline, Jacqueline Burmeister, who
Right.
couldn't be here tonight, because they've also done some source testing on, they did it on Poor Farm, Coal Mine, Billings. I think that's it. They didn't do it on Tilly. So we didn't have any information about that. And I think this year they may go back and do Tilly as well. So we'll see what those guys say too. They did a very nice report, or a very comprehensive report, for Lake Quinsigamond on the sourcing at their meeting in Worcester. So it was.
Do they have test results on pH and all that stuff, or?
I think so, although I don't remember exactly what the test scores are, but they're on there. And I'll email that out to the board, because there's actually a link that you can go and see this report from Worcester.
Okay.
So it was pretty comprehensive what they did. They did it not just for Quinsigamond, they did it for, coves and patches and
Right.
Indian Lake and all that, but we were a big part of it. She said she would be willing to come in here and discuss that with us too.
And maybe we could forward that to Glenn,
Oh, yeah.
if it could
I'll
help.
send, matter of fact, I'll send it out to him too.
Perfect.
That's good. All
Thank
right.
you.
Thank you very much. All right, Mr. Conway.
Nothing to report.
Nothing from Grafton.
We've been particularly slow. My short meetings.
That's kind of good, right? Is that-
Also, nothing to report.
Okay.
Perhaps I need to check in with the city, Michelle, and the new Lakes and Ponds person.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I can-
with Jacqueline, yeah.
And I'll send you some
Yeah.
details as soon as I do that.
You guys are getting a new agent there too, right?
We
Yeah,
have Mia.
Yeah, Mia, Michelle's moving on.
Yes.
Michelle was
Well,
great.
she's not moving on.
She's moving on from that position.
She's focusing her expertise into the master plan, and so she has to dial back on some of her other responsibilities. So
Right.
Mia's come
That's
on as a
wonderful,
new
yeah.
conservation agent, as well as the board liaison to,
Michelle is, and I want to acknowledge this officially, that she was been very, very helpful to our endeavors. You know, got us through kind of the maze
she's
of.
very efficient.
Yeah, she is. It doesn't take any baloney, but, yeah, she helped us go through that whole process and make sure they got it right, and then, you know, when they mess up, she'd kind of pick me up and get me going again, so I really appreciate all the work she did.
So I'll relay to her how pleased you were with her.
Yeah. I told her, I don't know if she was, just think I was, you know, pumping sunshine. That's it? Very good, thank you.
Sorry.
Mr. Smitis?
My first official report would be that I have no report.
All right, nothing wrong with that. You were here last month though, right?
Yes.
So this would be your second official report.
Oh, as a new member, I didn't have anything to report on.
Oh, so you just get an
So
excuse
this
that
is the
time.
first time.
Today, no excuse. All right. Mr. Nelson?
As a new member, I have nothing to report on, Mr. Chairman.
All right, good. So we're through that. I do want to say that this is actually an historical meeting in the sense that this is the first time in like 3 years we've actually had a full board at the Lake Quinsigamond Commission. So that's something. So I'm happy to see that. I really am.
And we're actually all here,
What's that?
full board and we're present.
Yeah, full board. And
I mean, we have like.
That's what I was trying to say. We have a full board, but
And
we're
we're also
actually all in the room at the same time. Right. I still want the camera focused on me the whole time. All right, thanks. So, all right, so item number 2, after the reports, is review and act upon the request to hold a Worcester Dragon Boat Festival on September 22nd, 2018, from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m., and to hold practice sessions on September 20th and 21st from 2 to 7 p.m. Who's that?
Yes,
Good
hello.
to see you again.
You too, thank you. And this is the most people that have.
I know.
Yeah, I mean, every time I've come, there hasn't even been enough to vote, so.
Throw that in my face.
Yeah, that's great. Hi, I'm Suzanne DeGeorge, representing the Telegram and Gazette, here to request our permit for the second annual Worcester Dragon Boat Festival, to be held on September 22nd, as you just alluded to. And then the Thursday and Friday leading up to that Saturday, we host practice sessions for the people. So last year was a success. We had 24 teams enter. We work with a company out of Tennessee, same company that we had last year, and we rent their management services and also their boats. And we worked with Worcester PD, Worcester Fire, Environmental Police on safety and security, and that we didn't have any issues. The use of the lake would be from about where the Route 9 bridge is to the end of Regatta Point. The course is a 200-meter course. The company that we work with comes in early. They set up the course with buoys. Last year we were able to set them up early, and we worked with the other organizations that use the lake to make sure that it wasn't intrusive in any way, we weren't blocking anybody. We played nice with Regatta Point, and during the practices they still were open and everybody was boating. We also had safety, so we had Worcester Fire and also the environmental police, both during the practice sessions and on the event day. And only on the event day did we close the ramp for the morning. And we were out of the lake, we were off the lake and out of the park. Off the lake by, I think, 3 and out of the park by 4.
Okay. Patrick, your course is south of the bridge in September. So your course isn't in at that point?
Yeah, it's not.
Okay. So with this one, it's just a ramp closing on the day of the race?
Yep.
Yes?
Yep. We expect it to grow this year. Last year we had 24 teams. We're estimating probably about 30 teams this year. But we'll be more efficient, so I only gave us like an extra hour on the back end because I think we'll just be more efficient in how we do it. And last year we took an hour break middle of the day and we won't do that again.
Okay.
And we had a festival component, we had food, and there were lots of people that came down to watch, and it actually turned out to be a beautiful day, so.
I've heard nothing but good things about it.
Me either.
I'm not trying to start anything, but I did hear some rumors that Regatta's going to add a dragon boat to the duck and the swan.
I love
So
it.
I don't know if that's going to be, a competition for you.
I love it. I don't know.
They thought it was such a good thing that.
Yeah, they're adding it.
That people had-
Worcester PD was in, they had a team.
I think we almost won, didn't we?
You almost won by default because the fire department just quit, so.
Yeah.
Was the horse on board?
No, but that would be awesome. No, it was good.
Who did win?
Well, we had two different groups. One was club teams, so
Yeah.
teams that actually practice and are
Oh, they actually do
organized.
this?
There's a lot of Dragon Boat festivals around New England, so
Yep.
they actually, they entered the Boston Dragon Boat Festival and some other ones, so that group was separate. Then we had the group of novice, like the police
Okay.
department, the fire department, people that had never done it before.
I'm glad you used the word novice and not amateur.
Yeah, or slugs.
Novice. Who did win? One at Fallon Health was our sponsor, and Fallon had 2 teams, and one of Fallon teams actually was the winner for their,
For their sponsorship.
yeah.
You win.
Exactly, it was totally rigged, no, it wasn't. Just kidding.
But the people that actually do the club teams, they don't have their own boats and stuff, do they?
Nope, they used our
They used
boats.
it, okay.
Some of them brought their own paddles,
Yeah.
but
I didn't know there was like a thing.
Also
It
a
is a
professional
thing.
organization, they're
Yeah.
professional.
yeah.
No, I mean, I know the Dragon Boat,
Yeah.
the guys, those are professional guys, but
Yeah.
I didn't realize that there was actually like
Yeah.
competitors that,
They're very
That have their own
intimidating,
paddles.
they wear matching outfits, they chant and scare all the other teams.
well,
And
you guys had matching outfits, right? Your badge and, yeah,
We're incognito that day.
undercover. Okay,
No, not really.
all right, so I guess the permit, we have a permit filled out and
Yes,
checks and
you
money.
should have a copy of it, but
Oh,
I have a
yeah,
copy of
sorry,
it too.
right here.
Yeah, you don't have any money yet, but you'll get it.
Oh, okay, I've heard that
I know
one.
this has nothing to do with the Lake Commission, but I understand there'll be a beer tent?
Oh, yeah, so it isn't approved yet,
Oh,
but
okay.
we are requesting through DCR to add a beer tent this year.
I noticed that on the thing.
Yes,
Thought that make it more interesting.
Yes, it would.
yes. So, yeah, I mean, the beer
Will that
tent,
be open before the race?
well, we'll talk with them about how that works and obviously be very diligent about the rowers and the racers not participating in the beer tent till after their races are complete.
If I can just add relative to some experience at another festival that had a problem, not being able to sell beer when people were looking to purchase some. I think you have to have a police officer
Yes.
available,
Yep,
so keep that in
Yes.
mind, because we had a little hitch.
You do in Worcester, if you get a special permit in
Yeah.
Worcester. you
Yeah,
can-
we were able to finally get somebody to cover that, so to speak, at the last moment, because that
Okay.
was a problem, so.
we do another event in Worcester, and so, that we have a beer tent at, so we go in front of the liquor commission, we have people that serve it that are tip certified, and we also have a police officer there, and we'll card the people and they'll get a wristband, so we'll have a full security plan to make sure there's no underage drinking, people that are tip certified are serving the beer.
Right,
And
okay.
we'll work with a local distributor and, they'll drive their truck up, their refrigerated truck, and then drive it away so it doesn't make a mess or anything.
Perfect, yeah, in the event we had, and Barbara can probably speak this better than I just with what the rules were there, but the first year, yeah, there was some confusion, it was like vacations, and there was supposed to be an EPO guy,
Yeah.
and they didn't show up,
Okay.
and they eventually found a person. So it was a kind of a miscommunication, I think, inside. Last year, they did it, it worked out very
Is
nicely.
that the Wake Fest?
Oh, sorry.
No, at our event, sorry, Barbara Kickham,
Yep.
Lake Association. Actually, what didn't work out that great, Peter, just, sorry to interrupt, but we kept calling, and so they agreed that the Worcester Police would cover the detail, and we wouldn't go through EPO anymore for
Okay.
our event, because they always had right of first refusal, and that got the confusion going, so it was this back and forth, so we just.
So it wasn't an EPO
It
guy
was
that
still
came in.
confusing last year, we still had the hearing, and then we said.
Because we have plenty of police officers.
That's right.
Yeah, they wanted to do it, so, yeah.
We actually had an off-duty police officer there, but he had already started, so he wasn't willing to go to work that day, probably for the best. All right, so I guess I'll take a motion.
Make a motion, we approve.
Second the motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Abstained? All right, so voted. Thank you.
All right.
Good luck.
The race is on.
Thank
Race is
you.
on.
All right.
Okay, update on the Lake Management Plan NOI contract, like I alluded to before. Our next step is to go to Natural Heritage to talk to those folks about our treatment plan. The Conservation Commissions and our conservation people here can elaborate on that if they would like. But basically, you got to kind of go there first and get some guidance from them, because Conservation will be looking for that input. And what we're going to ask them to do is, because we have some areas that identified that have VACI, that have been identified as having VACI, which is the endangered species. What my plan is to ask Natural Heritage, basically, or inform them that we want to treat the areas that they don't have any concern that have the endangered species in them. So we can get that part of the permit process going. It will limit where we can treat this first season, but it'll cover most of the stuff that we want to do. So, and on a parallel track, we're going to go back, and I'm going to propose that we bring in another group in, or a scientist, or however we have to do it, to go back in there to take some samples of what we think are VACI on the beds that have them, and bring them up and do a DNA test to confirm that they're VACI. And the reason I want to do it that way is that the Whitehall Reservoir in Hopkinton also had the same issues as we had with VACI, and Natural Heritage basically wouldn't let them treat anything over there that was near a bed. So there's one scientist, I forgot his name, went down there. It wasn't Dr. Pageant, although I'm sure Dr. Pageant can do this. But they went down there, they pulled some samples, they brought them back up, and they did a DNA test, and come to find out it wasn't VACI. So these guys have been chasing their tails for, in Hopkinton for a few years, and they found out that wasn't in fact what they thought it was. So it was a good thing, and Natural Heritage says, okay, our work is done here, and they moved on. So it may prove that it is VACI, so we have to be prepared for that, but in order to do that, we won't be able to take those samples out till probably June or July, because that's when the VACI comes up. So I don't want to stop. I want to treat before that where we can treat. So I don't know if that makes sense to anyone, or.
That's good.
So we're good to. So as soon as we have this meeting with Natural Heritage, I guess next month, and maybe we'll vote on finding someone to perform the other part. Yes.
When are they gonna come before the boards? Conservation Commission?
I want to say that I think he's waiting, ESS is basically waiting to have this discussion with Natural Heritage on, it's going to be Monday, the 9th.
Sooner the better.
Yep,
Because if you don't come in next month, April, May,
Yep.
you're up against it. There's a 20-day
right.
period you have to wait, so.
I'm hoping to get in at least by April. We'll see, I don't know, or May.
Yeah,
It's gonna be
Yeah.
May.
yeah, it's May, so
Alright.
you need to make sure he gets that done and in.
All right, good point. All right, we'll follow up and make sure he's doing that. I was hoping he's doing that in a parallel track, but you haven't heard anything from him.
He should get his NOI together and file it, and then
Right.
he can always, get it all in, and then you can bring that information. I mean, it's just a phone call talking to Natural Heritage.
Right.
And they're basically gonna reaffirm what he has on his survey.
Right,
So it would behoove him to get it in
Okay.
sooner than later.
all right,
The notifications and all that have to be done, so,
all right, we'll get him going tomorrow for sure.
yeah, because you're gonna, if you have one hiccup in any one of these boards and they ask for you to come back, you're gonna be in a mess.
All right. I'm hoping that won't happen.
If you could help us at all, Bill, that would be great.
It's gonna be Scott.
Well, as Bill introduced himself, his son works for Natural
Oh.
Heritage.
Oh,
But my
yeah, that's true.
recollection is correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he asked, please don't get me
Right,
involved.
yeah.
Yeah, and I'm sure that Bill just said the same thing when someone was complaining about their phone bill. In the old days, can you fix my phone bill? My dad would work for the phone company, he get calls every day, he's like, these guys are like, they're charging me, they're gonna shut my phone off. What am I gonna do? All right, so, all right, thank you, we'll get that done. And that's about where we are with that at this point. And the next thing is an update from the Lake Quinsigamond Watershed Association. Do you have anything?
It's our favorite report,
It is.
the last one before we adjourn usually.
Oh, okay. Does that mean it's long?
No, there's another whole page, did you see that?
I'm not
Don't be
last this
fresh.
time? I'm not last this time?
Pretty much.
You are last.
Oh, I am.
That's why you're my favorite.
I know, I didn't think I was late. So we don't have too much report, just, Mr. Pike had talked about the Eagle Cam. My husband is kind of researching it, and we'll probably have to wait till next year. He was trying to locate a camera, on the Worcester side at a residence, and it was too far away, and we had to get tree removal or branches cut down. The camera became very expensive to go 1,200 feet. So we've talked to he's talked to Bill Davis and at Fish and Game, and we'll have to place the camera on a banding day. It's too late this year to organize that. We'll have to go up, somebody has to go up in the tree, probably from Fish and Game, get a location for the camera, to go look in on the nest. And so it's very complicated. We were hoping to get it this year, but it's still gonna be another year. So we're looking at 3,000 to any amount of money, but the closer you are, the cheaper the camera. But we've had, we think we can get some money from some other organizations, 500 here. So, maybe we'll do some fundraising too, so I don't think it'll be a problem to get the money. And, but you always have that fear that they don't come back the next year, but that's the way it is. And then we have our annual cleanup with the town of Shrewsbury. This year, it's April 7th, is that right, Angela?
Yep.
And this year also is the same day as the Regional Environmental Councils in Worcester. So we're still looking for volunteers. If anyone wants to go on Facebook page or email info@lqwa.org and you want to come help with the cleanup. We do Oak Island every year. We do Gouche Park, and we have our rain garden this year, so we'll need a little bit more help. We might not get it all done in one day. And Brownie Beach up to Main Street on the Worcester side needs like 12 people just for that. And they've got 12 people. It's a huge job every year. So we're looking for a lot of help. And that's about it, I think.
So this is a week from this Saturday.
Yeah.
Starting when?
People start showing up at like 8 till noon. We're usually done more like, between 10 and
Will
11.
the town or the city be supplying any, let's call it trash bags that they would hopefully then collect later?
Yes, yes, Shrewsbury gives us, and Worcester does too, special town bags, we just leave them there and they pick them up. They give us, plastic, rubber gloves, but, you can bring rakes or whatever, any other tools that you want, or heavier duty gloves that you want, bring those.
Let me just say that it's stewardship of the lake and the lake area. I would just hope that people could show a little bit of initiative to be able to, take care of that which we all, enjoy and cherish. And it'd be great to have some public participations on a volunteer basis, but, it takes our initiative to do this. And if we don't, wouldn't get done. And every year, I'm sorry, but every year and inevitably we come up with stuff with how did this get here? Well, it did. We could take it away, so we'll leave it at that.
Yeah, it is amazing how much shows up.
Yeah.
So quickly. Angela has the crew team, Shrewsbury High School crew team doing the parking lot and area around the boat ramp and that shoreline. And also, we were trying to get some boys from St. John's, but that didn't work out this year, and I don't really understand, because I wasn't leading that effort. So we'll get them maybe in the fall, get the St. John's kids to help us, so we're trying to get the high school more involved in these cleanups.
Do we get free t-shirts?
If you come to Dean Park, you will get a free t-shirt.
I knew there was free t-shirts involved.
In Shrewsbury.
Yeah, and then
Yeah, we had them last year.
Yeah.
They were in Oak Island.
Yeah.
We got free t-shirts.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Big orange.
I feel like you're part of the gang.
Yeah, well, you do get, that's a good point, actually. You do get to meet your neighbors and talk to people that you may not know that well, and it's a good thing, and it is helpful. We pulled out, I'm gonna say at least 2 or 3 tires out of Oak Island, and probably at least 1 trash bag full of Dunkin' Donuts cups, and lid containers and plastic bags, and although there shouldn't be any of those in Shrewsbury.
Yeah,
Because they
nips,
float in from Worcester.
this and that.
Usually on the Worcester side, we weigh it when it's done, so they know how many tons of trash.
Yeah.
Clean.
So it's a real, it's a basically a thing that needs to be done.
Yeah.
It really does need to be done, so,
And just
I really
to
appreciate
ask
you
a
doing it.
question, we were kind of tossing out ideas about maybe getting the sheriff's department to get some help on Route 20. We have a lot of garbage over there, along the, between Hatton Cove and the lake. Is that something we can contact him, do you think, and just ask him,
Well, I would
get a
think so.
detail?
I think the highway department does that every year, and they do send them, and they give them a list of areas, so we can
We can just add that.
add that
see if we
area
can get them on
to
there.
the highway.
Yeah, because we do as good a job as we can, but it's a big job. Right?
Yeah,
Cool, thank you, that's it.
Right. Thank you. Hey, we just set the date for the next meeting, but I wanted to, before I do that, I want to make sure I plug, the environmental police is having a boating course, 2 boating courses, I think, right? They're doing May 15th, a bunch of them, May 15th, 17th, 22nd, and the 24th. Those are 4 different,
I'm not sure if you have to go to if it's a 4-part class.
It depends where you are in the thing. If you're
But
a novice.
yes, well,
You have to go
this
to
is based towards novice. This youth 12 through 15 years of age who successfully complete the course will be issued a safety certificate allowing them to operate a motorboat without adult supervision as required by state law. This course will also satisfy the state requirements for personal watercraft users who are 16 or 17 years of age. All graduates will be issued a safety certificate. Taking the course as a family is encouraged and is proven to be highly rewarding. We did that with our
kids.
boys.
Yes.
Barbara was there. And the students must be 12 years of age. It's free, doesn't cost anything, right?
Wow.
And that's a good thing. And registration is required. And you can go, can you zoom up on that? Is that allowed in the thing here? My fingers out.
So this is aimed at teenagers.
Aimed at, yeah, well, actually preteens and teenagers, yeah. So,
I would,
I would like to see every adult that wants to go on the lake take this course that hasn't already done it.
As a Worcester resident, I would like to take the course.
course.
Yep, you can go.
It's a great course, you learn a lot of stuff.
You do.
You don't realize you don't know.
Some of the stuff, some of it's about ocean-going things too. They talk about the different tones and the cans out there and all those signals, but you do learn a lot of stuff that you didn't know. I did, and I thought I was, I thought I knew everything, but I didn't. All set with that?
You did too.
Mr. Chair, if I can just say,
Yeah.
with how busy Lake Quinsigamond is, I would underscore the need for people to take courses like this. And number two, Mr. Chair, we didn't even talk about it, but there has been some talk of the state making this a real requirement in terms of the use of the likes of jet skis. So it behooves you to take this opportunity for something free to get so educated.
All right.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right. Thanks for bringing that up. Our meeting next month will be 25th.
How's that?
Also, I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna, Angela will probably be mad at me if I do this, but I'm gonna give her some kudos because a lot of the,
Deserved.
it is, our minutes, the website, especially the website, has been up, brought up to date, which reminds me, if everyone could just stay just a little bit, because this is a unique opportunity to get a picture of all of us as a group, because it very rarely happens, so.
Who's taking the picture?
What's that?
Who's taking the picture?
I'm taking the picture.
Angela. That's why I'm kind of.
Mr. Pike is all dressed up, he knew this was gonna happen.
That's why I'm buttering her up, okay, so, but, she's done a lot of great things. One of the things here is, there's a list, because this came up last year, there's a list of all the events on Lake Quinsigamond that's gonna be on the Lake Quinsigamond Commission website. That you can get at, and I believe the watershed website also, or can we, yeah. So, great stuff, the terms of the commission and all the other stuff is on there and updated. I believe the rules are on there, right? So it's a lot of information on there to do. So thank you very much, Angela, for keeping that going.
Make a motion, Mr. Chair, that we adjourn, so then we can do that which you just said.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.